It's yeah, it definitely moves the plot along. We're setting up gigantic events right here.
I mean, if we're going to Marine headquarters, this could completely. I think it's going to completely alter the way this plot works. I mean, we might not even have the government in the same situation it was by the end of this saga. I mean, if Enies Lobby shook the government this much, I mean, I know Luffy and his group probably couldn't defeat Aokiji and Kizaru, but we might be seeing some big defeats at the hands of the government with two Shishibukai in Luffy's alliance. I mean, though one of them might not always be a good guy, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, so now we're going to talk about how this chapter fits in with everything and predictions about what we think it's going to lead to. Ed, do you have any thoughts about how this chapter fits into the entire canon?
What? As it fits into the canon, I mean, this is moving the plot in a way that most of the chapters up to this point haven't, and most chapters in the entire series really haven't moved it. Basically, what we're going to get is Blackbeard is going to try and shock the world, and
probably succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And Luffy seems to be pretty much on his way to Marine headquarters, and he seems pretty determined to do that. And we're probably going to have, basically for next chapter, sort of a short-term prediction. We're going to have a fight between Luffy and Magellan, because Magellan seems pretty damn committed to not letting Luffy leave the jail. So we're going to see where he's going with that.
And, I mean, Luffy has been picking up allies along this entire way that we would have never predicted. And, I mean, I'd say one of the qualifications to become Pirate King is to bring enemies together and to bring your old enemies with you and to bring new, really powerful people with persuasion. And someone like Jinbei, I assume, has a ton of persuasion and Fishman Island,
It really goes back to the point of what Luffy says, that the Pirate King is the man with the most freedom on the seas. And having a lot of allies with a lot of power allows you to have a lot of freedom.
And he's definitely on his way to doing that. And I mean, as a prediction from me, I think the next chapter is definitely going to start moving that forward. I still think we have a lot of time in this arc left. And if I know Oda, it's going to end like we don't expect it. And then at the end of that, we're going to get even more revelations. I mean, I don't think the saga is even halfway over yet. I mean, it started with the Duval arc. I mean, it feels like a really long time ago, and it was a really long time ago when that started. And I mean, we've come a really long way to get to this point, but I still don't think
we're over a year now. Yeah.
But I think I've been reading this manga since around the beginning of this saga weekly, and every week, I mean, compared to a series like Bleach, where you're reading it for around a minute and then you're done.
Man.
I could sit here and read a One Piece chapter in 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it's like watching an episode. It's fantastic to do.
Mm-hmm. And
with less flashbacks.
Right, and besides the fact that there's just a large amount of text and a large amount to read in each chapter, the art is also incredibly rich compared to other series.
I mean, I know we're really preaching to the choir here, but this is why I try and recommend this to everyone I can.
That's why we're doing a podcast
and we're
about
doing
this
a podcast.
and not Bleach.
Exactly. Especially since Bleach lately has been kind of... I'm not going to spoil anything for Bleach, but just stop reading. Anyway. With One Piece, though, I think we're going in the right direction. I think the plot is thickening, even though... And we have some big fights coming up, which maybe not illustrated is as big as when it's animated, but it's still... I mean, it's still huge.
There's one possible problem. We might begin to see some story sprawl of what's going on. Things that we have to cover so many stories in a short amount of time. We're going to have to cover the Blackbeard, what he's doing, what the Marines are doing, and what Luffy's doing all at the same time. So at some point, some of this is going to have to converge so we don't go entire chapters without seeing anything or having little bits of everything in each chapter and making things unsatisfying.
I mean, that's the problem with an ensemble cast. I mean, you get such great, rich backstories, especially in One Piece, where they really can't stop talking about the backstories, which isn't a bad thing at all. But the problem is you need to cover everything, it feels like. I mean, the little minute things like Brook and Laboon, I mean, become huge in the entire continuum. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the series, but it also poses a problem for moving forward, and that's probably why it's taken 10 years to get maybe halfway. I mean, we might be getting closer to the end. Maybe that's why everything's exploding like this. But, I mean, we'll have to just wait and find out exactly what's happening. Anything else you have to say?
No, that's about it.
With that, we're going to go into the flashback. I know you might not have loved this arc to begin with. I mean, it's better than the Captain Kuro arc, I think. But, I mean, it starts things off. I hope you listen to the flashback. Okay, everyone, it's time for the flashback part of the program. Ed isn't very happy about doing this part of the program at all this week, but I insisted that we should probably get it started now, since the podcast will run really short without the anime segment being here as is. So all we're going to do is go over what we think about the arc and synopsize a little of what happened. I mean, for those who've seen the show, which I assume most of you have.
Otherwise, why would you be listening to this?
I mean, you might have some problems if you're listening to this and haven't seen it. Although, if you haven't, we suggest that you do see it, and we're sorry for saying you have problems. Anyway.
It'll lose the listeners, Zach.
I mean, I can't really help it.